All right, I see that you're here, which means that World War III didn't happen, well, yet. But seriously, the last few days have been packed full of some of the most dangerously wild stuff, so let me ask you something. What the hell kind of stupid show have we just witnessed? I mean, think about it. Netanyahu was basically like, trust me, Iran's this close to a nuke, and started bombing without showing any real proof. Then Trump jumped in with strikes and said the nuclear sites were completely and totally obliterated, which wasn't true, by the way. And these two managed to spike oil prices, stir up chaos in the region, and started talking about regime change in Iran. Then they thanked Iran for giving a heads up before hitting US bases, and now Trump's out here talking about a complete and total ceasefire? Like, what? Oh, and by the way, I already asked ChatGPT in the last video whether Trump would actually strike Iran, and it only took 2 days for it to be totally spot on. So, if you missed that, definitely go check it out. Today, I'm going to ask AI what it thinks about the US strike, was it even the right move or not, and then we'll see what it has to say about Iran's attack on the US bases. And finally, I'll ask it to predict what's coming next. Is it really over, or are we only getting started? And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that like button if you enjoy these conversations with AI. The channel's growing faster than ever, and I'd really appreciate you being part of it. Thanks in advance, and now let's get into the video. And here we are. First, ChatGPT needs to gather up all the latest information, and once that's done, I'll start asking the questions. Alright, it's ready. So, ChatGPT needs to be clear, straightforward, totally unbiased, with no spin, no fluff, no sugarcoating, and as always, give straight up answers with its own take every time. So, let's kick things off with the US strike on Iran. Does ChatGPT actually think it was the right call? And just to avoid any vague answers, if the decision were up to Chat, would it have done it or not? And here's the answer. No, I don't think it was the right move, and if it were up to me, I wouldn't have made that strike. Not because Iran's nuclear ambitions aren't serious, they are, but bombing their facilities in such a dramatic public and unilateral way doesn't fix the problem, it makes it worse. The strike might have delayed the program, sure, but it didn't destroy it. You can't drop a 30,000-pound bomb on motivation, and now Iran has every reason to double down, dig deeper, and speed things up even more. The fact that this strike came without congressional approval or any real international support makes it even more reckless. There was no plan beyond the attack, no follow-up diplomacy, no coalition effort. It wasn't coordinated with the UN or NATO. It wasn't part of a bigger strategy. It was just Trump making a move to look tough and score political points at home. And while it might have worked with his base and gotten some applause from allies like Israel, the long-term cost is huge. Now Iran feels cornered. Its leadership can point to this strike and say, "See, we told you, the US is out to get us." That gives them cover to go further underground with their program and ignore whatever weak diplomatic pressure remains. It also gives their allies and proxies, Hezbollah, the Houthis, even armed groups in Iraq, more justification to lash out across the region. And if that happens, the US gets dragged into even more chaos. If you want to stop Iran's nuclear program, you need more than a bunker buster. You need long-term strategy, pressure with partners, and real leverage that doesn't burn every bridge. That's not what happened here. This was all shock and no strategy, and for that reason, I think it was a mistake. Bold moves aren't smart just because they're bold. Sometimes they're just reckless, and this one was. Alright, so ChatGPT doesn't think it was the right move and wouldn't have made that call. Got it. But what do you think? Maybe you feel the opposite and think that it was the right move after all. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. But now let's move on to Iran's response and see what ChatGPT thinks about it. And here's what it said. Here's my personal take on Iran's attack on the US bases and Trump's response. Honest, no fluff. Iran's move was carefully calculated. They targeted a base in Qatar but gave advanced warning, clearly trying to avoid US casualties. That doesn't mean they were being nice. It means they were being smart. Iran wanted to show they're not just gonna sit back after getting hit by massive US bunker busters, but they also didn't want to hand Washington an excuse to launch a bigger war. It was a warning shot, not an escalation. And Trump's response? It was all about saving face. He called Iran's attack very weak and even thanked them for the warning. Then he declared victory and started talking about a ceasefire. But the truth is, this whole situation was set off by his reckless decision to strike first. No approval from Congress, no backing from allies, and no real strategy behind it. This wasn't about necessity, it was political theater, a big dramatic move to grab headlines and look tough. Sure, Iran's nuclear program is a real issue, but bombing their sites without a serious follow-up plan doesn't solve anything. It just makes everything messier. And now, thanks to that strike, Iran has something just as powerful as those nuclear sites, full-on public support at home to push their program even further, probably deeper underground and harder to monitor. Trump trying to claim credit for restoring peace after escalating the fight is just dishonest. What Trump's doing is pure damage control, spinning the situation like he just prevented a war, when in reality, he's the one who escalated it in the first place. So no, this isn't a win. It's a dangerous pause. Iran's strike was a warning. Trump's response was spin, and now everyone's holding their breath. The US public might be hoping this is over, but the Middle East doesn't work like that, and anyone pretending this ended cleanly is either lying or not paying attention. Yeah, totally Trump style. He does something, then reverses it, and declares victories. I mean, does that really work on anyone? Alright, now, I'm about to ask AI to sum it all up and give us one more prediction on what's coming next. But before I do that, it's a great time to hit that like button if you're enjoying the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss a new upload, which I do every single week. Oh, and I'm gonna rant for a little bit here. I see people in the comments all the time asking for breakdowns on things like the LA protests and Trump's big beautiful bill or Project 2025. But here's the thing, those videos are already up on the channel, and actually a whole bunch of other ones that you're probably looking for as well. So to make things easier, I've dropped a link to the full playlist in the description because I'm sure that there's something there you've missed and you want to check out. So be sure to have a look once we're done here. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to the prediction itself. Okay, now let's ask ChatGPT for its final take and see what it thinks is coming next. Here's my full unfiltered take on the whole situation and where it's likely heading next. This wasn't some carefully crafted plan, it was reaction after reaction. It all started when Israel launched a sudden strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. Netanyahu claimed Iran was closer than ever to building a bomb, but didn't present any real evidence. The timing made it clear this wasn't just about stopping Iran's program, it was also about politics at home. With pressure mounting inside Israel, Netanyahu needed a show of force, something big enough to rally support and distract from internal problems. He knew one strike wouldn't take down the regime or erase Iran's nuclear ambitions, but it would create headlines, shift the focus, and make him look decisive. Then Trump jumped in, not with diplomacy or pressure, but with bunker-busting bombs. He turned a regional operation into a global flashpoint overnight. That strike might have set back Iran's nuclear infrastructure, but it didn't solve anything. It gave Iran a golden opportunity to play the victim on the world stage, to rally support at home, and to take the program deeper underground, both literally and politically. The thing is, the core problem hasn't gone away. Iran's nuclear ambition is still active. What's changed is how it's going to look moving forward. They'll be more secretive, more careful, more committed. The public, which might have been split or uncertain before, is now fully behind the regime. That's what happens when you give a government something to point at and say they're under attack. So what did the operation really accomplish? Maybe a few months of delay, maybe a damaged facility or two, but Iran's scientists are still working. The know-how is still there, and now the motivation is stronger than ever. This wasn't a knockout, it was a slap that only made the other side more determined. But here's what I think is most likely to happen. Behind the scenes, all sides are already working to cool things down. Nobody wants this to spiral out of control. Publicly, everyone will keep posturing, threats, statements, finger-pointing. Privately, they'll be trying to rein things in. Iran doesn't want to give Trump another excuse to bomb them, and Trump has no interest in getting pulled into a drawn-out conflict while he's trying to project control and stability. Meanwhile, oil prices stay high, global markets stay nervous, and Iran keeps rebuilding. They'll harden their sights, move them deeper, scatter their resources. The program continues, just harder to reach next time. That's the part no one's saying out loud. The US may have just made future strikes less effective by forcing Iran to adapt. So was any of this worth it? Honestly, no. It wasn't strategic, it wasn't coordinated, it was reckless, and the most likely outcome now is a shaky pause where both sides wait for the next misstep. And there you have it. Let me know in the comments if there's already a ceasefire by the time you're watching this video, and whether ChatGPT's prediction was on point or not. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also be sure to check out the links in the description if you want to support the channel directly. And come on, why wouldn't you? After that, go watch this next video where ChatGPT breaks down every single law that Donald Trump has broken since getting back into office. That one dropped over a month ago, and honestly, I think it's time for a part 2. Anyways, thanks for watching, click on that video, and I'll see you over there in just a moment.